Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week. This week's pick of the week, Decorum #1 from Image Comics. Could it be anything else? Is this a surprise? Not at all. This is the brand new creator-owned project from Jonathan Hickman, along with artist Mike Huddleston. This book was awesome. Crazy awesome. There were some moments I had to kind of let sink in. It was a little bit of a challenging read. However, it was not a challenging experience. This book was so much fun. It was very thrilling. This is not your typical comic book fare. This is very, very innovative and imaginative. Jonathan Hickman is known for his world building. He's known for doing all kinds of charts and infographics and maps and all kinds of stuff like that. This is a technique that he's been developing over years, right? Years in the industry. He's brought it into mainstream books like Avengers, Secret Wars, and now the X-Men books, right? Hoxpox. Think of House of X, Powers of 10. Think about that level of reimagining the world, right? Think of that. And then take it to the next 400 degrees. Seriously, this book is something else. I've never seen anything so ambitious from Jonathan Hickman, and everything Jonathan Hickman does is pretty much one of the most ambitious comic book projects ever. This is huge, and I really like it. The artwork by Mike Huddleston is amazing. There's a different style and approach to each and every single scene. The coloring is very interesting and very cool. I really like this book. Just to show you a little bit, the layouts are absolutely fantastic. This is a science fiction book, and the world that is brought out in this book is absolutely crazy. And it will take you some time to actually probably lean into it and get into it. This book was awesome, though. Really liked it. The basic gist, though, crazy sci-fi setting, and it's about an assassin. There's an assassin, and she's got, the best manners out there. Jonathan Hickman basically said in an interview at one point, that I can't remember her name, Emily something, Emily, it's not Peel, Pond, Emily Pond. She was a writer of etiquette and stuff like that. What if she was the universe's most badass assassin? So that's it. It gets towards that at the end. It's a very slow burn on the actual story, but mostly this issue is setting up this entire world and the experience you're going to have reading Decorum. This book is different, it's unique, it's trying new things, it's being innovative while it's doing it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was amazing. Jonathan Hickman, Mike Huddleston, and company killed it. Loved it. Loved this book so much. Bold, ambitious, daring. God, I loved it. I love this book so much. I think after this video, I'm going to sit down and read it again. I really, really think that. I rarely do that. It doesn't always mean the best thing. I reread Shadowland #1 pretty much immediately. I thought Shadowland #1 was good, but the rest of it wasn't. Anyway, Decorum #1 was fantastic. I loved it. It's bigger and bolder than something like Manhattan Projects and East of West. Like I said, I think this is the most ambitious project that Jonathan Hickman has ever embarked on, and he's embarked on a lot of them. So if you like Hickman, you're going to love this. If you don't like Hickman, I think you're going to hate this. Me personally, I love Hickman's work. I love this. Mike Huddleston adding in the artwork. Oh my goodness, the artwork is so different and amazing and unique and fresh. I loved it. I loved this. This was such a great comic book. Decorum #1, pick of the week from Image Comics. Another one from Image Comics that I don't want you to sleep on is Stealth. This is a new one. It's from the Skybound imprint. It's written by Mike Costa. It's got artwork by Nate Bellegarde, who was the artist of Nowhere Men, the first arc of Nowhere Men, which, by the way, the second arc of Nowhere Men still has yet to finish, and it had a different artist. Anyway, so if you like the art on Nowhere Men, definitely worth checking this out. But I would encourage any superhero fan to check this book out. This book completely took me by surprise. I was not looking forward to it. It looked like it was just going to be some kind of just run-of-the-mill average thing. This book blew me away. This book was really cool. It's got a great hooky story, right? It's about this dude. He lives in this town. He lives with his dad. His dad's getting older. His dad's starting to kind of lose his mental faculties. And he's slowly starting to just kind of forget things, and he falls and all that kind of stuff, right? Meanwhile, there's a superhero called Stealth. He's got a connection to this family. And I don't want to really spoil anything about this book, because one of the strengths of this book is what happens. There's an amazing, amazing hook in this book that has me begging for more. Stealth #1, that's probably one of your sleeper hits of the week. I think I think I've heard rumblings out there that there's a TV show or a movie or something in the works already for this. But this book was really, really cool. There's gonna be a lot of hype on Decorum today, and it's deservedly so. But don't sleep on Stealth. This book is really, really cool. If you like superhero comics, if you like things with a different, unique, interesting twist to it, check out Stealth. This book was great. I liked the artwork. I thought it was fresh. It was nice, bold. It was a nice, brisk read. Lots of great action. Really cool stuff happens in this book that really hooked me in, makes me want to see what's going to happen. Stealth #1 is out this week from Image. The other Image book I read this week was Sonata #9. A lot of explaining gets done in this issue of Sonata, and it really helps fill out the mythology of this world and these stories and these characters that we've been following. I really like it. It gets a little Ancient Aliens at times, and I really kind of like that twist to it. But Sonata's been a really fun book with really solid artwork. It's been carrying it through, and I've really been enjoying it. I kind of started getting a little muddy with the story in the last issue, but this one, especially because it explains a lot about what's going on and setting up new and interesting ways for the story to twist and turn, really, really had me excited. Sonata #9, a fantastic issue. Let's jump over to Marvel. Thor #4 is here, written by Donny Cates, artwork by Nick Klein and Matt Wilson. I have been loving what Donny Cates has been doing with Thor. 4 issues in, I think this is some of the most solid Donny Cates work at Marvel, period. Yet, seriously, great stuff. This Black Winter story hits a big peak here. It's a big moment. In fact, I think he actually got maybe a first full appearance of a certain character or something in here, I'm just going to say. However, loving this book. Sif comes in. Thor is now the Herald of Galactus. He's helping Galactus feed on these certain 5 energies of these 5 worlds so he can defeat or go up against the Black Winter, which is something even crazier than Ragnarok. It seems like, you know, the universe is always in peril in the Thor books. You know, gods die, they return, the Ragnarok, the cycle, and people are always doing something different and unique with the hammer, and it's not working right with Thor, this or that. It seems like everybody does it. But that's just the way that comic book stories work. But when you're able to put your own spin on it, when you're able to put your own style and unique freshness to it like Donny Cates does, there are things in here that may be from a typical Thor story, but the way that Cates handles it just blows me away. I love it. The artwork by Klein and Wilson is absolutely fantastic. This book's got great cosmic action. It's got great moments of tragic nuance amongst the characters. It gets deep into the character of Thor, gets deep into the character of Thor's relationships with the other characters surrounding him. Really loving Thor. This is a great moment in the story. Galactus and Thor together against an unstoppable force of absolute annihilation and destruction. I'm sold. I'm down. Thor #4. Shaping up to be Donny Cates' best Marvel work yet. And you can tell that the passion is just oozing off of those pages. Speaking of Donny Cates and Marvel, Venom #24 is here with a very cool issue in the Venom Island saga. After what happened at the end of the last issue, you get some revelations in this issue, and I really liked it. Nice throwbacks to old school Venom stories, some new interesting developments with Dylan. Dylan does some stuff in here that I've never seen another symbiote character do, and it's pretty dope. I really liked it. I highly encourage you to check this out. Feels like Venom's hitting a little bit of a lull post Absolute Carnage, gearing up, reeling into whatever is going to be coming up from Null on the horizon. But this Venom Island story with this issue right here has been turned completely on its head into something completely exhilarating and exciting, and I love it. Mark Bagley, his artwork seems to be getting stronger as each issue progresses. This is his best arc yet. Some great classic type Venom stuff from Mark Bagley in here. Venom #24, part 4 of the Venom Island story. I loved it. Thought it was great. X-Men #8 is here, kicking off a new story. Seems like each one of these X-Men's is a new story, right? So that's kind of cool. I like the one and done kind of approach, but it all is like leading into something bigger. This definitely is leading into something bigger, but the Brood strike back, right? So this has ramifications from recent issues of New Mutants. The New Mutants have returned to Earth. They brought something with them, and the Brood are coming after it. So that's real fun and interesting in a classic X-Men manner. Lots of interesting little tidbits about Vulcan and some of the other Summers family and their relationship and what's going on there. But you're just getting a little bit of those revelations at a time. Meanwhile, these big giant things are happening. Artwork's pretty decent here. It's Mahmoud Asrar on the artwork here. It gets a little inconsistent for me at certain times, but the way that he's drawing the Brood and the swarms of them are absolutely just chilling and scary and spooky and awesome. I love it. Anyway, X-Men #8. I'm loving this. It's Jonathan Hickman. I love what he's been doing, what he's been building up to. X-Men number 8 is no exception. I loved it. Thought it was great. Speaking of the Dawn of X books, we got a new one, Cable. Cable number 1 is here, written by Gary Duggan with artwork by Phil Noto. Really like the artwork here. Thought it was super cool. If you're a Noto fan, you're going to know what I'm talking about, and I am. I really love his approach, especially with coloring, especially his close-ups on faces, look really, really cool. I was all down for Kid Cable when Kid Cable first shows up. And then in that Ed Brisson X-Force series, I really liked that. Thought it was cool. But in this new post-Krakoa X universe, Kid Cable, especially if you look at Fallen Angels, you look at the first issue of X-Men, he's acting a little bit out of character. Well, it seems like Kid Cable doesn't want to kind of be this gritty D-bag like Old Man Cable was, right? So he's kind of like, feels like, I guess there's a fresh start. It seems like a lot of these X-Men are acting not out of character, but maybe just a little too happy and content. Now, it could be argued that that's just because that's the nature of them finally having a place in a home like Krakoa, but come on, something's going on. There's something that Xavier and them are putting in the Kool-Aid, right? Anyway, Cable's just kind of being a big man on campus, swinging around, having a good time, being kind of funny. It's an interesting role for Cable. Not quite something I was completely sold on, but then there were developments in this issue that got me really excited to see where this story's going. I think you start getting some early references to the Ten of Swords story coming up, because you got a sword, a famous sword that pops up in this issue, so that's really interesting. It kind of ties into the whole Rom Space Knight stuff from back in the day. But the Cable was pretty decent. I thought it was good. You know, if you think there are too many X-Men books out there, maybe you just want to kind of flip through it and see if it's for you. This is definitely for fans of Cable. There may be some things that are going to tie into some stuff coming up, but nothing that if you needed to know about it, you wouldn't find out before you actually needed to know about it. But I really liked it. And if you're not quite cool with the idea of Kid Cable and his new place in Krakoa in the X universe, definitely check it out. I think it's pretty interesting. It's a different approach to the character. There's some really interesting things in here, especially at the end. I'm like, what's up with that? I want to find out more about that. Anyway, Cable number 1 is out this week. Pretty solid debut. New Mutants is back with issue number 9 out this week. This one's written by Ed Brisson. So now that both of the initial story arcs are done, you got all the younger mutants back on Earth, back in their little Krakoan habitat, and kind of now I think we're going to see the cohesive nature of this book from this point forward. But this was an interesting issue. I thought it was pretty decent. Now I'm trying to remember what happened in this one. Oh yeah, Boom Boom leads a team of mutants. Oh yes, they go to try to save a mutant from some country like on the outskirts of Russia or something like that. Certain countries don't want the X-Men coming in there. They don't want to have mutants have access to the portals, and this is one of those countries that doesn't, but they actually refuse to acknowledge that Krakoa's, you know, its own nation. I mean, there's this whole kind of geopolitical thing that Krakoa and the X-Men have kind of kicked off and started that's just been kind of reverberating throughout all these books. So it's been an interesting, fun story. I liked it. I think Ed Brisson's going to do a good job with this story. It's got a bunch of characters to work with and juggle around, so we'll see in future issues how that works out, how it pans out. But New Mutants, to me, not the strongest X title, but definitely not one of the weakest. I think it's pretty solid. Issue number 9 continues that thing. Oh, there's also some really great moments of coloring in that book. Marvel's Snapshots, Submariner. So Marvel's has a whole bunch of stuff coming back out, right? So Marvel's Snapshots is a line of one-shots. So they're curated by Kurt Busiek, but they have other creators on them. They're just presenting classic stories from Marvel's past. That's what this is. This one is a Submariner story set back post-World War II, kind of dealing with the after effects of the war on Namor and some of the other characters. So that's really cool. I really liked it. Jerry Ordway does the artwork, and so it feels so classic and fun and cool. And I really liked it. I thought it really came across really cool. I wasn't necessarily super looking forward to reading it, but seeing that classic Jerry Ordway artwork really just kind of threw me back. The characterization Namor was spot on. This story is written by Alan Brennert. Did an absolutely fantastic job. I thought this was cool. If you like that old school Golden Age Marvels type flair, definitely check it out. It's just a nice, good, solid, one and done Namor story set in like 46 or something. But it's really cool. And you got the All-Winter Squad showing up, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, Marvel Snapshots, Submariner number 1. There'll be a whole series of these. Human Torch is next. With Fantastic Four, they're doing an Avengers, they're doing Spider-Man. So they're all going to be their own story, but that one was really solid. And if you like that Jerry Ordway stuff, And I love Jerry Ordway, and I actually got to meet him last year, and he was a super, super cool dude. Amazing Spider-Man number 41 is here, finally revealing some stuff about Boomerang. What's been going on with Boomerang? Why is the Kingpin after him? I liked this issue. I thought it was pretty cool. You got Ryan Ottley back on the artwork, so that doesn't hurt. My biggest problem with Nick Spencer's Spider-Man is that it seems like everything's going way too slow at a snail's pace. All the revelations, it feels like this is all. It's like he had a 50-issue arc plan that maybe could have been done in 30. But whatever, I digress. This was a pretty solid issue, maybe mostly because we're getting to some revelations. So we've had this stuff going on. All the Boomerang-centric issues, by the way, for me, have been some of the strongest issues of Spencer's run. He really loves this character. He's written this character well before. I really like this new approach to the character and the new things that are happening, but you find out a lot in this story, and I thought it was really cool. So big explainy issue and lots of fun, crazy, kooky type stuff, as has been involved when Spider-Man and Boomerang are doing their team-ups in the most recent issue. So, a few issues ago, I was about done with Nick Spencer's Spider-Man, and then they bring me out, it's like Godfather 2, isn't it? It's like Godfather 3. It's like if they did Godfather 4, I'd watch it. We'd watch it. We'd watch it. They shouldn't do that. Immortal Hulk is here with issue number 32. This is an interesting offbeat issue. And that's weird to say that an issue of Immortal Hulk is offbeat. This book is at times very silly. At other times it's very poignant and in a satirical nature. Then other times it's incredibly scary. Like, absolutely. This book, I don't know if it quite can balance all these tones, and that's why I think that the Immortal Hulk is kind of a tonally challenged comic book for me. But this is an interesting issue. So you got the original Hulk, was it Zenmu? He's kind of like fooling the people. Like, everybody's kind of got this like a Mandela effect going on that he's creating, and he's changing everybody's perception of history. So you got that kind of stuff going on. But there's a moment here with him and this dude, that Dario Agger is just, there's a moment here that's so freaking cool and scary and awesome, and just wasn't expecting it at that time in the book because of maybe the tonal shifts it's one of the things that make those moments so anyway, there's super awesome moment in here. Immortal Hulk number 32 is out this week. Seems like hype on that book is kind of dying down just a little bit. Avengers number 32 is here. When I was talking about the last issue of Avengers, I said I was getting bored. I felt like everything was getting a little too dragged out. This is one of those issues, though, that just will bring me right back in. This was a really cool kind of in-between stories kind of story. What they're doing is that you start realizing in this issue that Jason Aaron's been setting up all these different factions of villainy against the Avengers, and what happens if someone decides to put them all together. We're talking about Dracula, Namor, the Winter Guard, and the Squadron Supreme, and even more. More stuff there. Plus, you see Mysterio up there. So this one got me really interested. Plus, there's some really nice Blade moments that didn't lean too heavy and just trying to be funny or one-liners or anything like that. Like, some really nice, solid Blade moments in this issue. Why was I saying I was getting bored with Avengers? Keep throwing me issues like this, Jason Aaron and company, and I'll keep coming back. This was a great issue. Really set up a lot to come. However, don't make me wait too long for that payoff, because I'm getting hype. I'm getting hype about it again, so you got to pay it off. You got to keep that momentum going. Hawkeye Freefall, issue number 4 is here. This book's been fun. Matthew Rosenberg's been doing this with Otto Schmidt. The artwork's been solid, dynamics, got a nice kinetic flow filled with action. If you like the post-Matt Fraction Hawkeye, where he's a little bit more douchey, a little bit more irresponsible. I mean, he's always been kind of irresponsible, but he's still painted heroically. But he's kind of like a lovable loser, right? Anyway, I guess he's kind of always been like that. Anyway, if you like that approach, you're going to like this. This is fun. It's a little bit more dynamic than the Matt Fraction stuff as far as just the superhero-y action, but it's really interesting. So there's a new Ronin. People think he's killing people. Hawkeye's trying to prove that it's not him. Meanwhile, maybe it is. Who knows what's going on? Lots of special appearances by characters, including a brief appearance by Night Thrasher. Thank you for that, Matthew Rosenberg. Anyway, Hawkeye Freefall, if you like the previous 3 issues, I think you're going to like this. This has been a fun story. I like the usage of the hood. I just really liked a lot of stuff in this. Speaking of quirky, lovable loser superheroes, Ant-Man number 3 is out. Zeb Wells is doing a great job with the Ant-Man book right now. It's funny, but it's not too over the top and goofy. It's got just the right amount of sadness because how pathetic Scott Lang sees his own life and how he can let it get to a certain point. But there are also some really nice humorous moments in here, especially involving Spider-Man being a little bit jealous of Black Cat's attention towards Ant-Man on a case. Anyway, pretty decent story in a nice, fun Marvel manner. But I really like the approach on Scott Lang, how important it is for him to live up to this idea he has of what he should be to his daughter. So that's real fun stuff. If you like the Paul Rudd movies and you always wanted to read an Ant-Man book, I highly recommend this new one. It's 3 issues in out of 5, so it's like halfway through, but it's pretty solid and it's fun, and I've been enjoying it 3 issues in. Nebula number 2 is here. Not as solid as the first issue, but still pretty decent. Vita Ayala, they know how to do a script. Claire Rowe, Mike Spicer, round out that team. It's all right. It's pretty cool. If you want to know more about the character, if you want to see Nebula in her own solo adventure, definitely worth checking out. But I don't know if I'm going to stick with this for too much longer, because I've never really been that big into Nebula until the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. But it's all right. I think it's pretty solid. It's decent, but if it hits on a big week, it might get the cut from me. Star Wars Bounty Hunters number 1. I know a lot of people were excited about this. People have been asking me like every week, when's it coming out? So this, just like all the other Star Wars books that are launching right now, celebrating the 40th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back. They're doing so by telling Star Wars stories that take place right after The Empire Strikes Back. So this is the story of the bounty hunters right after Empire. So it's got Boba Fett. You know, he just got Han Solo. He's just trailing him, and then there's an adventure that happens. It's got this dude. I think was that the dude from Target Vader? I didn't really read all that. He's from like an older series, and then you get that Bosk. Is that his name? Bosch, something like that. Anyway, this book didn't do anything for me. I was just kind of felt like I was thrown in the middle of something that had been already ongoing. I felt like this was an issue 37 or something. I have no idea what's going on. Maybe I should have read that Target Vader thing. I don't know. This one just didn't do much. It was muddy. It was all over the place. It was confusing. It didn't excite me. It didn't appeal to me whatsoever. It just didn't feel badass. Didn't feel sleek or cool like the best Star Wars books for me do. I don't know. It didn't really do much for me. But I'm not the most hardcore Star Wars fan. I like Star Wars, but I think if you're a super, super hardcore Star Wars fan, so much to the point that you know who this guy is like immediately, maybe you'll get more out of this than I did. But for me, I didn't really like it. Darth Vader issue number 2. 2 issues in, this is not shaping up to be quite as exciting or as good as the Kieran Gillen Darth Vader run or the Charles Soule one. But we shall see what happens. Vader, right after Empire, I don't know. He basically comes across a lookalike for Padme, and it starts like twisting them all up. And I'm like, I'm over. I mean, aren't we over this? Are we over this? Are we over sad Anakin? Can we not just let Vader be badass? That's what the other 2 series did, and they handled it just fine. I don't know. I'm going to give this one more issue to see. But if it's just going to be sad Anakin, I'm out. The Rise of Kylo Ren number 4 is here. It's the final issue of the series. I only read the first issue. I've been buying them all up, though. I plan on reading them all together. So now maybe I should do that. But I do want to point out that cover looks like some kind of like Renaissance, like religious painting, doesn't it? Like our savior, Kylo Ren. I don't know. Anyway, let's jump over to DC Comics. Flash, number 751. Man, we just had 750 last week. Now we got 751. This was a great issue of Flash. If you picked up 750 for the first time, you hadn't been reading Flash, and you enjoyed that main story, continue on into here, because this is a great story. Lots of action, lots of dynamic artwork. The book is so good. It's fast. It's cool. You learn a lot about this new Paradox character. You learn a little bit more about Godspeed. I'm loving The Flash. This has been DC's most consistent launch since Rebirth. I mean, this book for 80-something, maybe 90 issues now has been so consistently just fun, just great. New ideas, fresh spins on old ideas, interesting takes on things. I'm really liking what Joshua Williamson and company are doing on The Flash, and it does not let up in 751. I loved this issue. The Batman's Grave, number 6 is here. Warren Ellis, Brian Hitch, Alex Sinclair. I'm already sold. I'm loving this book. It's one of my favorite Bat books out right now. It's only 12 issues, so we're halfway through now. The main point of this issue is it's mostly Batman leading Commissioner Gordon through Arkham Asylum, and they're being attacked by like prisoners and stuff like that from all sides. This book is brutal. It's mostly fighting. There's some great detective work, some really interesting stuff. When Batman's trying to solve a murder, he puts himself into the victim's mind state. So you got a nice, interesting scene with that towards the end. You also just got some of that brutal, brawling action that we've come to expect from the Batman's Grave. Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch, they're masters at their craft. So is Alex Sinclair. The colors help enrich and embolden this work. I absolutely love it. The Batman's Grave, number 6. Fantastic. And Warren Ellis, the way he writes Alfred better than anybody else. I'm telling you. The Green Lantern Season 2, Issue number 2 is out this week. This is by Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp. This book was wild and weird. Grant Morrison's Green Lantern is an interesting experience. I like it so much more on the reread. When I first read an issue of one of these here lately, I feel a little lost. I feel a little confused. I don't quite get everything, but then when I reread it, it kind of irons itself out. It seems like Grant Morrison does that sometimes to me. But this has been all right. It's been pretty decent. This was a wild story. I liked it, though. Howl's on Earth. There's these, like, monstrous bird people. There's some kind of insidious plan. I don't know. I did like it. I think this has been a wild, fun book. I feel like Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp and company are just having so much fun doing this book, and I'm having fun reading it along as they're creating it. But this was a wild one. Yeah, bird people exiled on planet Earth. Can space cop Hal Jordan stop a terrifying invasion from the dawn of time? It's really cool stuff. I liked it. And Fossilized City, that's a Grant Morrison-y idea. And I was listening to Magicians of the Gods earlier today, so this is kind of appropriate. Anyway, Green Lantern Season 2, number 2 is out with another wacky, outlandish, crazy sci-fi issue. Superman number 21 is here. Tell you something about Superman. I was reading this in here, I've been really down on business as Superman. I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to see. We're in the middle of this Mongol story, and I love Mongol, and I love Ivan Reis's artwork, so let's just see what happens. Man, that stuff is so awesome. Mongol fighting Superman, and it's big, and it's explosive, and it's all over the place. They're tearing apart galaxies. He's tearing apart this United Planets that's just now trying to form. You get some interesting insight into Superman, who he is, and like his own insecurity with himself. But then you got other stuff in here, like all the stuff that happens in this issue with Lois Lane, and I'm just like rolling my eyes. This is so boring, it's so dumb. I hate this whole story of this revealing the secret identity. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. If it was just about the United Planets and just about Mongol attacking, I'd be down with that. I'd be cool with that. Like Ivan Reis drawing that, man, this stuff's amazing. But the story, the direction, it's just not digging it, man. But if it was just, I mean, just if you just want to see this is why it's so sad and why I'm so conflicted. Is that I've been wanting I've been wanting a Superman book like this for a while. Like a Superman book where it's Ivan Reis doing the artwork and he's fighting Mongol and it's big and it's explosive. It's bombastrous. Bombastrous? That's not a word, is it? But we can only have that with this dumb direction. I don't know. That's just me. I'm just not digging the direction of Superman books. But it doesn't mean I can't enjoy a big slugfest like we got in this one. I love a good Mongol Superman fight. Who doesn't? Also from DC, we got Aquaman 100-page giant, issue number 3. These are always fun. Classic stories, new stories, all that stuff and more. Speaking of classic stories from DC, Detective Comics 38. Detective Comics 38, first appearance of Robin. Robin's about to be celebrating 80th year in the industry. Looking good for 80, right? This first appearance of Robin, this is reprinted as a facsimile version from DC Comics. The DC ones are not near as good as the Marvel ones, but this one's a little bit better than the typical DC one. There's also a facsimile for a Thor issue. I can't remember what. My shop was shorted, so I didn't get a chance to grab that. Finally, from DC Black Label, we've got the Dollhouse Family. Issue number 5. This book does a lot of explaining, does a lot of creep factor. It's bringing the story and circling it back around on itself, and I'm really, really liking it. And the end of this book, I'm just like, what? You're crazy. You're kidding me. I've been loving the Dollhouse Family. This has been my favorite book from Hill House Comics, which is the line of horror comics on DC Black Labels that Joe Hill has been curating. Dollhouse Family's been my favorite. Issue number 5 is one of my favorite issues yet. The ending, y'all. Like, seriously. Let me know what you thought about that ending when you got to it. And just like, what? Man, this is great stuff. And from Aftershock, we have The Man Who Effed Up Time, issue number 2 by John Layman and Carl Mostert. Man, this was crazy. I loved issue number 1. If you liked issue number 1, you're going to love issue number 2. He messes time up even more. It gets even crazier. It's off the wall. I have no idea. I thought I had everything figured out from the first issue. I thought I was clever. I thought I was being clever. It's like, oh, that dude that picked that flower, he's the one that did everything. Maybe so, but I'm telling you what, in issue number 2, it gets even crazier. So this dude goes back in time for 1 week. He does some things. He tries to like fix some things. He buys a lottery ticket. He he like sends flowers to his girlfriend who's about to break up with him. He does all kind of, he comes back and there's like Abe Lincoln. There's like a dynasty of Abe Lincolns that have been running America, and there's like pyramids and everywhere and dinosaurs running around and like what? And it gets even weirder than that. This book is fun. It's kooky. It's effed up. It's about the man who effed up time. It's a book that doesn't take itself very seriously, but it also has high stakes to it. I really like the book. I thought it was amazing. John Layman has kind of had a resurgence in the industry of late, and I think that's really, really cool. The Man Who Effed Up Time, #2, was exceptional. I absolutely loved it. Definitely worth checking out. Jim Henson's The Storyteller, Ghosts, Tale 1 of 4. So these are always going to be one-shot stories. So it's based on Jim Henson's Storyteller, the TV show, right? With the little Muppets and all that, right? And so they've done a few series of these. They did like a Sirens one. They did like They did a few. They did monsters and stuff like witches, right? So this one is ghosts. So they're all going to be a ghost story done by somebody completely different. This first story is written and illustrated by Mark Laszlo, and it was really good. It was really good. If you're a fan of like the Mignola style of like horror storytelling, pick this issue up. This book was cool. It was a really sad, tragic ghost story involving the ghost of a baby and a long-lost brother. It had a lot of nuance to it, a lot of depth to it, a lot of tragedy to it, but it was also just a very quick and simple ghost story with an effective punch. It was really very well done. So Storyteller's Ghosts, even if you never read one of these, you don't have to. Just read this one issue if you like horror comics, especially if you like stuff like Mike Mignola. So, seriously, check that out. Go Power Rangers #30 is here, continuing the Necessary Evil arc. This book has been great, adding new layers and dimension to these characters that were barely fleshed out in the TV show because it's a show made for kids, but it's a comic made for adults. This book was absolutely fantastic. I'm loving it. These are the best iterations of the Power Rangers there have ever been, and I'm talking about TV shows, comic books, all that. Not talking about Super Sentai, though, right? Right? Anyway, Go Power Rangers has been fun. If you're an old school Power Rangers fan, jump in. You're going to love it. It adds so much more to the lore, to the mythology, and to the characters. It's just great stuff. They're building up right now. They're building up to Mighty Morphins issue #50. Someone's supposed to be coming in. Time's going to get messed up. They're going all DC Crisis, whatever. They've already done that, right? Go Power Rangers #30 was fantastic. If you've been liking it, you're going to continue to love it. It's more phenomenal. Also from Boom, we have Ghosted in LA #9. This was a great issue. Michelle, the roommate, you find out a little bit more about her. This is a great book. So it's the basic gist of this, like the elevator pitch. Young lady goes off to college, follows her boyfriend to LA to go to college with him. He breaks up with her, though there's a lot more complication there than that. And she's alone. She doesn't really relate to anybody. Her roommate's kind of like very standoffish. She doesn't really get along with her. She doesn't get along with anybody. She's her best friend from home. They don't get along anymore. She feels alone, right? And then she finds this like building that's haunted by ghosts, a bunch of ghosts from LA. It's very cool. Love the book. Love the characters, including the characters of the ghosts. This book says a lot about the human experience, and I think it's absolutely amazing. It's one of the best books on shelves. One of the least talked about books. I don't hear a lot of people talking about Ghosted in LA. This book's amazing. Definitely worth checking out. First trade's already out. They're nearing the end of the second arc. This book is cool. It's written by Sina Grace, who co-writes the Go Power Rangers book. So this is cool. It's fire. I really like it. And Siobhan Keenan's artwork, amazing. Especially Sina Grace helps with the artwork too. And finally, let's talk about Sweetheart from Action Lab, Danger Zone. I just picked this one up. I don't usually read a lot from Action Lab, but they do produce those David Pepose books I love, like Spencer and Locke and Going to the Chapel. So I looked through this and I was like, oh, the art looked kind of decent. It's a horror story, so let's check it out. So it's a horror story. It's about this world that's filled with these monsters, and they come and they mark someone. And when they mark you, they're going to hunt you down. They'll never leave your side. They'll always be near. They're going to keep hunting you down until they get you and eat you, right? However, society has come up with like a tonic or medication that will, like, as long as you stay regular and keeping up with it and you follow the rules, even though this monster is always lingering near you somewhere trying to eat you, this tonic will keep them away. But it's kind of like the Gremlins. People don't always follow the rules, right? But this follows the story of a dude through his whole life being kind of stalked by this really crazy creature. Sometimes the art in this book is okay. It's all right. Sometimes it feels a little pedestrian. Then there are moments where it explodes. Those are the truly horrific moments, and there are a lot of them in here. This book was cool. If you like a good slasher horror film involving monsters, if you like a cool idea with a nice twist at the end, check out Sweetheart from Action Lab if you can find it. Give it a shot. I really liked it. I thought it was pretty solid. Might make my top 10. That video will be out Thursday morning. Anyway, thank you so much. That's what I read. That's what I thought about it. What are you reading? What are you getting excited about? Let us know in the comments down below. Let's keep the conversation going about comic books and build this comic book community. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for your support. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.